And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting outside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
Welcome everybody, 39A. Of course I'll be on for this one because it's the historic 39A. That is the way you've got to describe this pad. With a Falcon 9 launch, with another Starlink, it seems like it's been Starlinks all year, as promised. That's what we expected, lots and lots of Starlink launches. And this is no different, this is 699. Their naming is basically going up and up and up as they launch more and more Starlinks. But joining us on this stream is Alex. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Chris, and ironically, it's going to be the 94th Group 6 mission, so that is rather interesting, but you may know about, launching missions out of order, this thing of like having a number and then followed by a number that it's higher but then lower. Yeah, you might be a good person to know about that, right?
It's funny because I'm going to mention Shuttle straight away, but that's what happened to the Space Shuttle not far in. They started getting out of order. It was all very confusing, especially for Shuttle Sundays, where people go, well, hang on, you haven't done that mission yet. What's going on? But that's how it works. Also, out in the field, live from KSC, is D Wise. Hello, D.
Hello, hello. It is a reasonably beautiful morning. We've got the sun shining now and blue sky peeking through some clouds. So it's always a great day as we are looking forward to a launch.
We've also got Gage helping out with the cameras, but I always make a very big point of thanking our producer. I always never fail to thank our producer. In this case, it's Jay Keegan. So thank you for Jay. I'm making sure I'm saying Jay 7 times before I confirm I've thanked him on the stream, because without the producer, there would not be a stream. Anyway, if you've got any questions, you've seen me pin it in the chat actually. If you've got any questions, do it on our spaceflight, follow by your question. It goes into our panel, and then we can put it on screen and answer it. And it'll probably be Alex answering it, but there we go. I've got some 39A things I can talk about, to be fair, because I do love this pad. It is my favourite pad of all time. And of course, it's now joined by this big tower on the right-hand side, which will be for the Starship launches, which is very good. 39A gets even more interesting. But let's talk about the mission in hand, shall we, Alex? This is 699. What factoids have you got for this one?
Oh, well, we can start right off by what are they launching today? Well, you can see there on the ticker below, they're launching 29 of these Starlink V2 mini satellites, many more up there going into low Earth orbit, right? This one is Starlink Group 6-99, meaning it is part of the Group 6 of missions. Many different missions. Again, as I said, this is the 94th of those Group 6 missions. And these generally go to a 43-degree inclination orbit. And when they launch from the Cape, which to be honest, it's been the great majority of them, they launch to the southeast. So today's mission will head over to the southeast, and the booster today will also be landing downrange on the drone ship just with the instructions out there north of the Bahamas. Now, the second stage will continue. It will perform a 2-burn profile. The first one will get into a preliminary parking orbit, and then the second one will circularize that orbit and then deploy the satellites. Of course, there will be a third burn of that second stage, which will bring it to the orbit over the Indian Ocean. Now you can see that entry corridor for that second stage with all of the different hazard zones and whatnot, telling people, hey, get out of the way, because, there's going to be a piece of rocket hardware coming down your way. So that is very much the summary of what today's mission is all about. Of course, there are many stats, many different stuff. And Chris, I'm sure people will ask us all sorts of questions so we can handle all of those.
Indeed, yeah. I want to thank some people, by the way. This is like a Raptor side where we got unexpected, sort of like surprise support really early on. Telstar86 has gifted a Red Team membership, and Flippers79 MGL has gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Now, if you get a membership, you'll go, hang on a minute, what's going on? My name's gone green. Why? What have I done wrong? No, that's good news. That means you've been gifted a membership. You might not notice at the time. It does tell you if you've been gifted a membership, but you might not notice live. Just say thank you in chat. It will tell you who it's come from, but if you missed it, just say thank you, because somebody in our community, who you might not even know, via generosity has given you a membership for a month for free. No commitments. There's no like auto renewals. I make the point in this on Raptor sides. There's no auto renewals or anything like that. You get a month of membership for free, and it's not just your name in green. It's not just emojis in chat like most YouTube memberships are. You actually get membership content. I know because I upload it. I'm the one uploading it every single day. And it is every day. There's new content in the membership area of the YouTube channel. So there we go. Anyway, moving quickly on. A very important question, Alex. This is something where we hope the answer is yes, but it'll be no. Official So I Does Stuff. That's the username. Stubby nozzle, yay or nay?
Nay. It's not used on Starlink missions. It's actually been quite a while since it's being used, because even on missions where they have, plenty of performance and whatnot, they've opted to use the larger nozzle for a variety of other reasons. But yeah, so today is Starlink launches. That's sort of the rule of thumb here, where it's like, yeah, if it's a Starlink launch, it is not a stubby nozzle. It is always the full nozzle, because they really want to get as much performance out of the rocket as they can.
Yeah, I do love stubby nozzle. I think it looks amazing, but again, performance is needed. It is about saving some material on the nozzle, basically what it is, but that's only when they don't need the performance, and they do like their performance. They really do. And also, this is the pad we're talking about as well, because I did sort of like force people to ask me about 39A. I'll put my hands up. People in live chat will have seen it anyway, so I can't exactly hide the fact. But Flippers79 thankfully adhered to that request and said, what is the story with 39A? This is where I get my chance to do an Alex answer. So, Alex, you can put your feet up. D, you can put your feet up. Jay, you can put your feet up. I'm just going to wang on about 39A for a bit. This is it is literally my favourite pad. It really is. It's the first pad I saw a launch from. This is where it all comes in. I'm sure people have got their same thoughts on different pads as well. But it's basically what they call the moon port, because it literally was the focal point of humanity's first steps on the moon. That's where all the missions launched from. If you think about it, the first launch was Apollo 4. There was 12 Apollo Saturn missions, including Skylab as well, which was after the moon landings. You also had, I think it was 82 shuttle launches. The first one, STS-1, of course. It was the primary launch site before 39B came in, unfortunately, at a very unfortunate period because of Challenger. And then SpaceX took it over. Now, when SpaceX took it over, I think it was a 20-year lease from Space Florida. And I want to give a little shout out to Space Florida. They're the economic development organization involved with all this regeneration of KSC and the Cape Canaveral, with all these new pads coming online. And, not just new pads, but also pads that they've revamped. If you look at the Space Coast now, on our Space Coast flyovers, you'll see Relativity Space, Stoke Space, all these pads coming to life. But 39A was pretty much the template for that, because after the Space Shuttle program ended, everyone's thinking, what's happening now? It was the Constellation program, but focused on 39B. And then you're thinking, well, what's happening here? But SpaceX took over 39A on this lease, and they revamped the fixed service structure, the FSS, which I can never say. That's why I wanted to say the long word. But also put that VIB in there. But look at it now. It's got a Starship pad right next to it as well, which is going to be fascinating. And I've got a follow-up question where I can go to Alex about this. And I'm going to ask Alex, because I'm not sure how to answer this, but Tom wants to know, would the Starship pad on 39A still mean that 39A is historical? I think it would, because it's still got everything that was there originally.
Yeah, it's still it's still within the land for Launch Complex 39A, right? So it doesn't make it less historical because it's sort of to the side of the main ramp. It's still within LC39A. So I don't know. It's still quite historical. I don't know. And
Yeah,
I was going to say it'll make probably history on its own in the future.
indeed. I want to keep an eye on the countdown clock, because it's a live launch, of course. We're at T-minus 50 minutes. It builds up. It gets more exciting around T-minus 35 minutes to go, doesn't it, for the prop load go, no-go?
Yeah, we're still about 15 minutes away from that propellant load sequence to start. But of course, ahead of time, they should have that go no go poll. Fortunately, we no longer have access to any of that chatter, the countdown commentary and whatnot. But there's still a lot of things that we can look out for. For example, that frost on the first stage should appear roughly at T minus 32 minutes in the countdown. So that'll give us a definitive answer as to whether they are actually underway with that propellant load or not. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Still 17 more minutes.
Everything looks good from a technical standpoint, but the weather is always a concern for launches. I believe we're looking pretty good on the weather side, Alex.
Yeah, the weather forecast is actually rather nice for the launch side of things. The recovery weather, there's always the additional risk criteria, as they call it, which is low to moderate, but they've landed on that kind of additional risk criteria before, and so it should be good to go. I don't know if the may be able to talk better about the local conditions because they're
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, so the concerns locally are the cumulus cloud rule, which as we're looking around, yeah, that makes sense. We've got some cloud cover in the area, but there are plenty of pockets of blue sky, and that's only a 5% risk. There are a number of factors that go into determining the risk with clouds, everything from the temperature, the altitude, the proximity to the pad, all those sorts of things are factored into those cloud rules. And Alex, like you were saying, there are also the additional risk criteria. So upper level wind shear is a low. There's really not much wind here locally, and there's not much wind shear in the upper atmosphere. There aren't concerns as far as solar activity. And then it's just that booster recovery weather, which is a low to moderate. So it's, of course, worth them keeping an eye on it. But we have absolutely seen them launch and recover boosters in far worse booster recovery weather. So this is, all things considered, one of the better launch forecasts you can get. We're used to seeing like a 20% probability of violation and that sort of thing, but with the local weather being good, I think we are in good track for a launch today.
You know what? I was fascinated by a wide shot. Jay, I don't think that wide shot we can see pretty much the turn basin at KS. There we go. That shot there. D, I've always been fascinated by this. What time is it locally? It's like before normal clocking on time, but how busy is it at KSC with the workforce? I've always been wondering how busy it is these days, especially in the morning.
So it'll get busier. This parking lot here in front of us will fill up. I don't know if we can take that camera perhaps a little wider if Jay wants. And then you'll be able to see the parking lot, which is filling up. There are 3 rows of cars here currently, and I'd expect another 1 or 2 to start to fill up. But, there are lots of people. It's full parking lots here, most of the time now. It's only rare for us to see them because we're often here in the dead of night when a lot of the workforce is not here. But even still, we see vehicles at the parking lots for the VAB. We see vehicles going into the SpaceX areas, and so it's an active spaceport. And so this parking lot is just the press center, but there are lots of full parking lots and lots of activity here on the Space Coast.
I feel bad because that was pretty much a question from Chris B in chat, literally, and I've got Gage moving cameras now. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to make you move cameras, but that was also a fascinating view because that's the turn basin, and that is where we will see the first Starships literally being barged into KSC for the first launch from 39A. Remember, SpaceX has Roberts Road, where they're going to build Starships, but that is still a long way off before it's like a Starbase facility. And Elon has confirmed that the first Starships, which will all launch from 39A, will come from Starbase. So they'll be barged in through the turn basin, and we'll get to see that live on Space Coast Live, which will be amazing. I am so looking forward to that. And I do
It's going to be really cool. That's the same path we've watched the core stages for SLS roll out now. We watch Pegasus arrive, we watch it roll out and go to the VAB, and once Starship starts following in its path a bit here, and we start to actually see Starship launch here, that will be a wildly exciting day.
It's a privilege because I remember watching external tanks of the space shuttle arriving on Pegasus through the same route that the SLS core stages do on Pegasus. Pegasus has been expanded, by the way. Pegasus is now longer than it was for the external tanks of the space shuttle. They actually remodified the barge. But I remember watching it on a very terrible, I think it was 144p webcam on Real Media Player. Right, literally, it was like pixelated to hell. But it was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm watching this barge arrive live. So the cameras we've got for Space Coast Live are just a little privilege for me, someone like me of my age, being able to watch this in proper TV quality as they arrive. And we're going to see with Starship. It's awesome.
So, Chris, I know you can talk about, like, there used to be, like, the webcams, especially during the shuttle program that you were talking about. Like, you could sort of tune in to almost security cameras around KSC for a while there. But now, I mean, we've got Space Coast Live to be able to bring these curated views to all of you, and those webcams that NASA had have sort of gone away.
Yeah, it was. It was literally security cameras. It was 12 boxes on a web page, and they were terrible quality. A lot of them were offline a lot of the time. But you also had an internal transfer aisle view of the VAB, and you could watch the shuttles being rotated and lifted over into the high base. It was crazy. It was amazing, but it was very low quality, and they soon got rid of it because I think they cottoned on once the internet started building up and more people watching. They were like thinking, well, we don't want to start showing things that might be ITAR, even though the quality was ridiculous. There's no way you could see any details, but it was a privilege at the time to watch those. But now with the high quality we've got is amazing. But there's a segue to the Starship future of 39A. And that comes from Flippers as well, asking, will Starship launch from 39A? Question mark. Yes, it will. Will it be crewed? So, Alex, what's the future of maybe, let's say, the first crewed launch? I know we've got HLS, but that will launch on SLS and Orion and orbit and meet in orbit. But the first actual crewed launch from ground, do you reckon that'll be 39A first?
You know, that is a great question in the sense that I don't know really. It's a very tricky one as well, because it's like it might be a lot of time in the future, but it could also be very soon. I don't know. Yeah, it might be where they first launch crew. But also at the same time you have Starbase, right? Where it's like, well, maybe they want to start those crew launches from their own place, right? From Starbase, rather than doing it from somewhere else, just like they did regular Starship launches first from Starbase, and now they're moving to other sites like 39A and also Slick 37 at the Cape. And so could be a bit like that, to be fair. But right now, I will say it's too early to tell, because, I mean, it could really be a long ways out.
You know what? I like to make things interactive. So, chat, join in. While asking a different question about this mission in hand, just join in chat right now. We will do a poll because there's no point. We'll just type in your answer. What pad do you think will be the first from the ground crew launch a Starship? Your choices are 39A, 37, or Starbase. We won't do Starbase pad 1 or 2 because it could be either. It doesn't make a difference really when they're both modified to the same configuration. But just join in chat. Just make it interactive. Let's get a general idea of what people think, because I'm expecting 39A to win, but we'll see. Prove me wrong. In the meantime, Telstar86 is back with a super chat, by the way. How do the orbits of Starlink compare to Amazon LEO? So we saw the Atlas V launch the other day with Amazon LEO, as they call them now, satellites, which is their version of Starlink. What difference between the orbits, Alex, between those two kind of like satellite constellations?
Well, in terms of the Amazon one, as far as I know, they only have one single inclination, or at least I may not be super aware. To be fair, I also haven't read in depth about it. Whereas Starlink, I do have seen many documents and filings and whatnot. So, but yeah, for Amazon right now it's 51.9 degrees, so close to 52 degrees inclination relative to the equator, which means the orbits sort of get capped at the 52 degree north and 52 degree south latitudes. So it means a lot of the satellites are going to be concentrated around those locations. And if you look at a map, that is where a lot of the people in the world are located, right? That, a lot of the people usually live in the northern hemisphere, right? And also around mid latitudes. And so mid inclinations like those, like, for example, today's launch is to 43 degrees with Starlink, but also Amazon, they chose 52 degrees because it's very easy to service a lot of people with just that inclination. Starlink uses mainly 43 degrees and 53 degrees, so both are mid inclinations as well. As I said, 43 degrees means that the sort of the tops and the bottoms of the orbit, when you plot it on a ground track map, right, on a map, and you look at where all of these satellites sort of land on when you trace sort of their shadows down on Earth, then you'll see that a lot of them clump together at the 43 degree north and 43 degree south locations. And the same thing happens with 53 degree inclination orbits. But there are also other Starlinks that are in polar or at least high inclination orbits. For example, coming up later today, there's another Starlink mission out of Vandenberg, which is Group 15-13, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. And that one is heading to a 70 degree inclination orbit, which, same deal as I said before, it reaches the tops and the bottoms of the ground track, reach 70 degrees north and 70 degrees south, which means it can cover also, Arctic regions or like more northerly regions or southerly regions, like, I don't know, Norway, for example, Andoya, right? Where we had that ESAR launch a few months ago. I think it was in March or something like that. It's something like 70 degrees north. So there you have it. Like, that kind of satellite can cover that high of a latitude. And then you've got the other group, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Group 17 for Starlink, which is sun synchronous. Sun synchronous, it's even not only just polar, but even beyond polar, it's slightly retrograde, and it's 97.6. So it covers the poles essentially. And so you can go to Antarctica and have Starlink connectivity because you have Starlink satellites flying over the poles, and it's a really nice coverage that you have there. Amazon decided to concentrate first on these 52 degree inclinations. I'm sure they probably have plans for coverage over the poles, etc., etc. But it makes sense for them to concentrate on these ones because they are the ones that they'll be able to provide all of this connectivity to a lot of people very, very soon. SpaceX did the same. They concentrated first on the 53 degree shell, and then they launched all of the other ones. But I can probably go on and on, but that's sort of the idea of why would you want to do all of these different inclinations and everything. Well, you want to have coverage of the Earth, right? And so, you do what makes most sense. So that's what they did.
That's why I like you on streams, Alex, because I can literally go for a cup of tea while I give you one of these technical answers and come back and I'm all refreshed now. Alex is just finishing his answer. But no, that's very insightful because we do need to know these things because people are going, Starlinks, I know what Starlink is. What's this Amazon Leo about? What's all that? What's this? Yeah, and then you need to explain to people, and that is what the big business is now. I mean, there's a lot of money involved in this internet from space, and we're going to start seeing these data centers from space. That's why RAM prices are going through the roof, and KMR's very upset about that. But I just noticed in the back room that, D, you mentioned the slight rain, because we're coming up to the point now where we're going to get go, no go for Propellant. So, slight rain, just nothing to concern about?
Yeah, this is a really, really minor amount of rain here at the press site. We're a good distance from the pad. It actually looks far clearer, like proper blue skies over the pad almost. Whereas over here, it's just a slight amount of rain. I wouldn't expect it to pick up too much or become any sort of concern. But that is one of the challenges when you're out here and going for launches is sometimes the weather conditions locally are not as ideal as they are at the pad. So sometimes you're having to cover cameras as the rocket's getting ready to launch. But you can hardly even see anything on those wide cameras. It's just building up on my windshield a bit at the moment. And so I figured it was worth mentioning that, yeah, there is just a little bit of precipitation here at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the thing now is it's T minus 35 minutes. Alex, how long does it take till we start observing frost on a vehicle?
Yeah, so right now they should be about to start that propellant load, but as you said, it takes a while, right? It takes a few minutes. Usually about 3 minutes after propellant load starts, that's when we see the liquid oxygen, sort of the frost on the liquid oxygen tank of the first stage. It's very simple why it takes that long. It's because it's not immediate that the liquid oxygen gets to touch the walls. You've got the transfer line, right, that goes through the kerosene tank at the bottom of the first stage, and then you also have the dome itself, the common dome for both for the first stage. And so you have to fill all of that up, and then it'll start touching the outer wall, because it's the same. There's no shell or anything like that. Like, the tank is the structure of the rocket. And so once that liquid oxygen touches the wall of the tank, then immediately the outside of the rocket is also cold, and then you get all of the frost sticking to it. So it takes 3 minutes. Actually, under 3 minutes, because we see at T minus 32 and a little bit, so it's less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Dreamland says Merry Christmas. Just a nice space for like Merry Christmas. So the opportunity to say Merry Christmas to you back, and also Happy Hanukkah. Elisa has been teaching me about candles. These enough candles. Yeah, because I'm like culturally rubbish. So it's always nice. This is a good thing about the community. Our community is obviously from all around the world. Oh, you know what? I didn't plan this, but I'm going to do it. Where are you watching from? Post in chat. Let's just get a rough idea around the world where people are watching from. I will start saying Yorkshire. Hey, there we go. Oh, Chaz, UK. You can actually just say the city as well, because I'm going to know where the cities are rather than singling.
I'm watching
Yes.
from Space Coast in Florida.
Oh, show off. There's always one, isn't there? Oh, I'm where the rocket is. I've got Amsterdam, Montreal. Look at this. Upminster in UK, Canada, Sweden, Indy, Lakeland, Florida, Stockport. Is that 2 Stockports? What the heck? That's in Lancashire, by the way, not far from Manchester. North Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Doncaster, Donny Rovers, Scotland, Little Chesterfield in England. I've not been there. I've been to Chesterfield. Rugby, Warwickshire, I know that. Cornwall, UK. There's loads of UK. I don't feel too bad about my accent now. Stennis Space Centre. The real Matt Carr. Are you actually a NASA person? Because that's awesome. By the way, if you are, please tell the POA people to start restreaming the RS-25 tests. We used to love going watching their RS-25 tests, and they've not been doing them recently. We've got one from the East NASA Causeway, Kennedy Space Centre. Is that a viewing point, D? The Causeway?
There are certain approved viewing sites for employees, but press is very much limited to the press site itself and nowhere else. But I have to say, the viewing sites have changed a lot. There used to be different systems and different viewing locations that employees could go to. So I'm not the most up to date on exactly where and when employees are allowed to view from, but there are a number of places around center that have great views of launch pads that they can be viewed from.
We've got Spain. We've got lots of Californians. We've got Sweden. We've got Italy, India. I mean, that's what I was making a point of. That once you realize that the community is all around the world, you get to learn things. It's really kind of cool. I really do think that's really fascinating. I was surprised by the amount of UK. There's always a lot of UK in our chat, which is good, by the way, because obviously I'm UK myself. But that's really cool. Frost, I'm hearing Frost. Break in, Alex.
Yeah, we finally see the frost there. Of course, it sometimes takes a little of time and effort to see, but you can see clearly now the condensation, but also like the vapors, right? Because it's not just the frost itself sticking to the tank, but because it's very cold, you have all of the humidity. It's sort of like, when it's cold outside and you breathe out and you generate this sort of white smoke and everything. Same deal thing. It's very cold outside, and so the humidity just turns into this sort of cloud, and so you can see that, of course, building up there on the tank of Falcon 9. So that's confirmation that propellant load is underway.
Very good. All good signs. am I correct in assuming, I've heard it many streams before, but I'm not sure about the window on this one. Does it mean they're committed to launch on this attempt now? If they do not launch on this attempt, there's no like recycle.
Yeah, that's generally the policy for them. Very, very technically, they have the capability of recycling. They just opt to not do a recycle. And I say this because oftentimes we do talk about this, about how, once they go into propellant load, they cannot recycle. But Starlink launches have a 4-hour window. In theory, very in theory, but they have never have actually gone through this, which is in theory they could detank the rocket and try again later in the window, because we still have 3 more hours of this window. So it could be one of those things that they just keep trying, right? But they've never actually gone through any of that, like actually attempting something like that. They've tested it, of course, but they have never actually done it. But yeah, right now we are locked into that 8:42 a.m. Eastern time launch time. Beautiful time. You can see there the sun hitting the transport vector, the rocket, the fixed service structure. I mean, it's a gorgeous morning out there.
It really is a nice, by the way. D, I mean, has the rain now decreased to the point where it's cleared out and it's all looking pretty good for launch?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The little bit of rain wasn't giving me any concern, and it was just very passing. The little bit of rain has also dried up at this point, so we can see that light shining onto the pad. It's clearing up. I'd say the skies have even cleared up a bit with more blue showing through at the moment. So I think we're in. I think we're well set for a launch.
Very good. Alex, this is a question I don't know if anyone can really answer. We're all going to speculate on this one, but Tom wants to know, do you think that, assuming it happens, after the SpaceX IPO, the company will focus on Starlink more than Mars?
Well, I should say there's a lot of things to do between Mars windows. There's 26 months that you can do all sorts of things, including launching Starlink and AI data centers, whatever they want to do with that, with those plans, right? There's plenty of time to do multiple things while you prepare also for the Mars window. So who knows?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I was looking at that. I was hoping that the money raised would be a foundation because let's face it, NASA's budget, while large, is not enough to achieve the goals that Elon's portrayed, for example. If we even do a HLS style deal with Mars, it'd be something where NASA's involved but not paying for it. It's going to be something that really needs the might of SpaceX's financial power to achieve. We all assume that. That's pretty safe to assume. But also, their business case is Starlink. Right now, Starlink is where I'm sure most of the revenue is coming from. And obviously, this data centers in space is going to be a big thing as well. There's lots of ways. I'm sure the clever people in the financial part of SpaceX know what the plan is. And this IPO is probably part of it. If it happens, as the question said, if it happens. But I've got even more important question. This is a real tough question here. And D, I'm bringing you on this one because this is a real tough question. Kit wants to know, has Chris NSF got his soundboard software yet? Thanks, D, for gifting the hardware over 2 months ago in London. I was there. Kit, you were there.
So, okay, this was something that was getting talked about last night as Jay, Kevin, and I were in a VC talking about everything, and we were actually talking about getting that software going as I brought up the fact that because KMR had the hardware just at his studio for you, but I had mine with me, and so it went from KMR owing you uh, a Stream Deck to KMR owing me a Stream Deck, and I am still owed said Stream Deck. I'm gonna call that out publicly at the moment. um, but yes, I will say the software search and planning is well underway, and it's a matter of determining if it's worth going through the extra trouble of making things work with the way things are currently set up, or sort of waiting for a slightly new system that will make the setup very straightforward. I know that's kind of vague terms, but uh,
It's vague, but I kind of understand where you're going with that, and I can wait. I'm fine because let's face it, the end result is just me pressing buttons and being an idiot on stream. So let's not really worry about that being a critical element of our future streaming plans.
yeah, we definitely want to have you with a working soundboard, though. We need your soundboard to be working.
We do, yes. I do like the idea of bright buttons in front of me where I can press buttons. I am never grown up. I'm still got the mental age of an 18-year-old. Meanwhile, T-minus 24 minutes and 44 seconds to launch. So we're getting closer and closer. Everything's proceeding very nicely towards this. This is 699, and we were talking about the naming earlier, Alex, weren't we? But we've got a question from Jono who asks, so is the next shelf launch, will it be a 3-digit one? Will it go 6-100? Is there such a thing as 6-100?
There might be. We don't know which one is the next one. Well, the very next one is going to be 688. I should say that, which should be in about 3 days from now. A little bit under 3 days, actually. But yeah, there are still a few other numbers that have not been used yet, which is 650, for example, is the earliest one in the Group 6 series of missions. And then you've got 696, 697, 698. So all of those missions could still go, and it will still not be anything over 6-100 essentially. But yeah, I mean, if they really have that many missions to launch for Group 6, they might just do that. We'll see what happens.
Not surprisingly, we're getting. Oh, there. By the way, there's next space flight. Next space flight is. It really is a schedule of choice. I use it all the time. I'm now responsible for putting the streams in YouTube Studio, and I literally rely on this for a future outlook. It is brilliant, by the way. It's an absolutely brilliant site and brilliant app. It's not just the app on the phone that gives you notifications of because I would miss launches. There's so many launches these days. You are guaranteed to miss a launch if you do not have something like this in your phone. So this keeps you informed on the launches coming up, 24 hours to go, 1 hour to go, and things like that, and 10 minutes to go. But also, this gives you a full insight. But I do like one thing on this as well, where it's got the historical launches, like launched on this day, and you get to remind the shuttle launched on this day and things like that. It goes right back in history. So it really is a cool app. So well done to the team. Alex, maybe you want to give a shout out to the team involved in this because you're involved in this as well.
Yeah, there's obviously the side of the data sort of thing, and then there's also the developers as well. In my case, I have no idea about software, so I'm the guy that sometimes, not always, sometimes I enter data. There's a bunch of other people that do much more work than me on the data side of things. So shout out to them, Lucas. Cosmic Penguin. A lot of people might know him from Twitter and things like that. A lot of Chinese coverage comes from that as well. But I should also say, like, you're not wrong about it being so active, just worldwide. Today's launch will be the 26th launch of December. Like, we are 17 days through December, and this launch is the 26th of the month overall worldwide. For SpaceX alone, it's the 12th, and then they have another launch later today from Vandenberg, which will be the 27th overall from the world, and also the 13th by SpaceX alone. So it's like, and there's still 13 more days in the month and in the year, right? It's definitely quite an active year, just not by SpaceX, but like even China, it's being almost 100 launches as well. It's crazy out there.
Cosmic Penguins in chat. Why did I just get mentioned? LM. I won't say the words. LMAO. Yeah, I won't read out what LMNO means, but there we go. But yes, that is Cosmic Penguin. The synergy there is the Chinese launches. Follow Cosmic Penguin on X because the Chinese launches are covered by Cosmic Penguins. So there you go. You've got that on as well as a resource for your rocket fun, because there's lots of rocket funs going on. T-minus 21 minutes to launch. We keep a close eye on the countdown. I'm so used to Raptorsides, but there's no countdown. You just basically talking, but I've got to be on a live stream where we've got to watch out for the countdown events. T-minus 21 seconds, 20 minutes to go. What's the next milestone, Alex, for the countdown?
Well, we should see in just a few seconds, hopefully in roughly 20 seconds from now, we should see the T-minus 20-minute event, because SpaceX is getting ready now to load liquid oxygen on the second stage. And as you may have heard, liquid oxygen is very, very cold, and so they're having to prepare all of that hardware on the Stromback. There we can see that T-minus 20-minute event coming up. and being very alive, which means we are on track. We are counting down. We are still ticking down all of those milestones. There you can see we're already on the LOX chill down phase. You may see right above it says stage 2 RP1 load begins, but it doesn't say anything about when it ends. It has already ended. So it just turns out that it happens sort of around this time in the countdown as well. So they wrap up RP1 load on the second stage, and then they get everything set to start liquid oxygen load on the second stage, which should happen in under 4 minutes. You can see there on the timeline. But yeah, still, keeping with the milestones.
Yeah, you can see I was rushing towards making sure I didn't miss the T-minus 20-minute event. I'm usually in the background going, T-minus 20-minute event's coming up, don't forget to mention it. And I'm the one there, I was talking, I was thinking, please, Chris, remember to retweet T-minus 20-minute event. But that is a great milestone, that shows everything's on track, which is what we like to see. Also, we've got lots of questions about Starship. I'm going to try and spread them out because we are watching a Starlink launch, but that tower on the right-hand side is what makes people think, ooh, Starship. I have a technical question. I'm going back to you, Alex, on this one because I think it's one way we've got to speculate again. But Jonah wants to know when Starship is operational, which is, we're still in the test phase, let's face it. Do you think they could make a orbital factory out of Starship ships, returning finished products when done? So that's basically the cislunar economy kind of thing, where you've got these depots in space, not just fuel depots, but also machinery depots. What's the things we maybe not thought about on Starship's capability when it's operational, Alex?
Well, yeah, I mean, way later down the line in the future, you could see those sorts of things happening where it's like they just build ships in space, and at that point you probably don't even need to conform to aerodynamics, right? Like I remember the whole thing of the Apollo lunar module being like, that's the first time any spacecraft had been designed that doesn't need to survive an atmosphere, doesn't need to be aerodynamic or anything like that, doesn't need to go through atmospheric reentry or anything like that. It just makes it so simple to not have to conform to those really, really hard restrictions, right, on designs. And so in the future, I can see that sort of thing where you just have an orbital station sort of thing, right, where you just fabricate and put together ships that are for that purpose, just to be in space, and then you can dock to it whatever you need to get into an atmosphere, to get down to a planet or something like that. Really like in science fiction, basically, where you have re-entry pods and what have you, right? So that sort of thing might be possible in the future, but again, way later in the future. Once all of these things have been built up. Very, very, one step at a time. We'll get there.
Very good. Yeah. Oh, by the way, lots of good reviews for next space flight in chat. I'm seeing a few actually doing the apps as well. So I'm seeing it in the panel, not just in live chat as well. But that's really cool to see that people do appreciate what next space flight is because, yeah, and mentioned by Kit there, Michael Baylor was the one who started it. And then Michael was with NSF, of course, as you know, and was one of the 4 people we lost to SpaceX over time, starting with Chris G. And then we had Jack's gone to Astroforge, by the way, but we've had Thomas go to SpaceX. We've had Ian go to SpaceX. It's crazy, really. I mean, it's also a feather in our cap if you think about it. Most places lose people because either they don't like working there or they're being moved to another channel. We've never had that. We've got them where they've been taken, literally headhunted, especially in Chris G's case, by SpaceX. And taking that, and you can't. I mean, it's sad to lose them, but it's also a pride point. Let's face it. I mean, they're going to these big careers with SpaceX. The people they were covering. I mean, that you cannot be sad about that. We'd like them back. I mean, obviously, at some point, we might get guest appearances from said people when their NDAs allow, like maybe a Shuttle Sunday with Chris G. We can't have Chris G on a SpaceX stream, can we? Let's face it. But we can maybe have him on a Shuttle Sunday stream, because that wouldn't be NDA. That'd be fine. But yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad people do appreciate that. We are getting more Starship questions here. Does LC-39A Starship pad have the official name yet? Is it 39X or 39C? You know what, D? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would still call it 39A. I'd call it 39A Starship. What would you call it?
I would certainly still call it 39A. And then I feel like we're going to see it would be like 39A Tower blank. And so I don't know whether we want to go. I don't know what that naming will exactly look like. I know we had some interesting conversations about all the possible names in for the different towers in Starbase, but uh, I'm sure we'll get more solid formal naming of these towers once they all start to grow, because this will not be the only one out here, and the spaceport is rapidly growing.
Yeah, it really. I mean, with Starbase, we were all calling it Pad A and Pad B for a long time. And SpaceX, now it's actually Pad 1, Pad 2. We all had changed the names. We were all like putting our feet down and pulling our bottom lips out, saying, "Oh, we called it A and B forever." And now it's Pad 1 and Pad 2. But now we've got used to calling it Pad 1 and Pad 2, so that's fine. But SpaceX have never really said anything. They've always said Starship at 39A. And I think that's where it is. If you look on the maps, the entire complex is 39A, and then next door there's 39B, which is for SLS. And there was that plan for 39C, where it gets more confusing because 39C recently was going to be a small satellite launcher inside 39B. I'm not even joking. It was basically done to try and attract Rocket Lab to KSC. But Rocket Lab decided to go to Wallops. So there's a synergy there because they're going to launch Electron from Wallops. Tonight, really, if you think about it, it's tomorrow for UK at that time zone. But they're going to be launching an Electron launch from Wallops from their pad there, and we're going to stream it live because we have our team out there, Micha, and we've got Pat out there, so we've got our own cameras, so we can live stream it. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the Wallops launch, and of course, Wallops then becomes the pad for Neutron with Rocket Lab. There's so many things to talk about with the future of rockets. And it's exciting, but this rocket in hand, T-minus 13 minutes. Next milestone, Alex.
Yeah, so right now it's just about getting the propellant loaded on Falcon 9. One of the next few things that's going to happen is engine chill at T-minus 7 minutes, and then at T-minus 6 minutes, the RP1 load will be complete on the first stage, so all of the kerosene will be loaded on Falcon 9. And then, of course, we'll get into the strong bag retraction, etc., etc. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, still, everything seems to be on track. I can already see the second stage is quite frosty already. So that liquid oxygen load on the second stage is proceeding quite at a good pace.
There we go. Very good. We do have a Vandenberg question. There we go. This is interesting from Prolux, who asks, can SpaceX build a catch tower in Vandenberg to accelerate this development? Well, you know what? There's Slick 6. I keep banging on about Slick 6 if you listen to Raptor Sides and things like that. It's something where they have officially, this is officially done now, where Slick 6 has become a SpaceX launch site. They've taken it up from ULA. But they've not officially said that it'd be for Starship. They've officially said it's for Falcon. Now, that is such a large land area that they could easily have a 39A situation there where you could build both for Falcon and for Starship. It's big enough. The area is massive. So that's possible they could do that in the future, but we just don't know. So we're going to keep a close eye on it, but that'll be very interesting to do because Slick 6 is a great place to build a massive launch facility and even catching towers and whatever you want to do there. Really is. So there we go. Right, we're coming up to T-minus 10 minutes to this launch. Everything is going well on track. I do have lots of store questions in here, actually, by the way. So this is interesting because we do like to mention our store as a great way to support the site. First of all, Jacob says, is the first Starship launch coffee mug still available on the website? Mine finally broke after 3 house moves and a few years. Well, at least it's done well to survive 2 house moves. So the third one was not a surprise to lose it. But also, our store is a great way. Jay may want to bring up some of our points on there because it is a great way not only just to support what we do, but also to get cool things through the post, which I think is a really nice thing to be able to say we can do because our store team does fantastic work. And there's a good example of something you can get. We've got a pre-order. I think they're going out, actually being shipping soon, actually now, because we've made a special effort with this one. That's where it's pre-order. We went the extra mile with this calendar. We've always done a calendar, but this time around we've done a big calendar with lots of information in it, not just our amazing photographs from our amazing team. In the quality that would be like, and I'm not even joking here, it would be like getting 12 prints from the store and putting them together. and then putting calendar dates on the bottom. And the calendar dates also have like milestones, rocket milestones in the date. So you can look at the calendar every month and go, oh, that was the anniversary of blah, blah, and things like that. There's lots of information. They are the best calendars we've ever done. They really are. They really are. So I'm very impressed with what we do there. But also, there's another question here. I did see related to the store, which I've completely lost, but I'm going to go on something else, which is tips. Telstar's on a £50 tip. That's bonkers. Big thank you to NSF for all the coverage of the year. It's been so many space fans around the year, World Entertainment and Insight. Keep up the great work and fantastic 2026. You know what? I can put a link in chat which covers everything. Not just the store, not just L2, not just everything else, but I can do it now. I'm going to spam it because I've not spammed in chat for a while. I'm going to spam it. Oh, there we go. So I'll do 3 because it's a Starlink launch. I won't go crazy. It's not wrapped aside. But that is a page I set up where you can see everything we do that supports what we do as well, because we aren't just people talking over a SpaceX stream or something like that, which is very easy to do. We are out there with our original cameras. G's out there with a camera. D, you're literally out there. Prove it. You're out there with a camera filming this.
Yes. And it's also raining just a little bit. The rain picked up, but it has now died. I don't know if camera can aim at me, but I can.
Oh,
that's me waving in front of the camera. Hello. We're way too zoomed in for you to be able to see anything.
I don't know. You always get someone waving at a camera. I don't know what it's like. You should tell that person, D, stop waving at the camera. Oh, Dave's you. It's you. Fair enough. That's not too bad. We're on a T-minus 10 minutes, by the way. We're getting close to the business end of this launch countdown. So we're getting very excited about this proceeding well, despite the occasional rain, which has not been a problem so far. So, but also on that page, I just wanted to try and segue it best I could before I was too busy distracted by the cool views D providing. We did have a gifted L2 membership. What the heck, Chris? A gifted L2 membership? Yeah, that's something on that page. We've made a facility now because people have been asking about it, saying, you know, I really love L2, but I want to give one of my friends an L2 subscription. How the heck do I do it? Because it'd be my username. No. Doesn't matter. It'll come through on this as gift, as a username, and then I email you back on the email address saying, okay, what account would you like it? I can even set up the account. I can even set up the form account. I can do it for you. And basically then allocate that to L2. You pass on the password and the username to that person and they'll get the L2. It's very easy done. So it's more, basically I'll look after you. That's how we do it. But that is a cool thing that you can do now. And it's been done by one person already. Gary's done it. So Gary, if you're in the stream right now, once this stream's over, I will email you back saying, okay, who do you want to allocate it to? And we'll set it up for you. And then you can pass it on. The email, I'll give you an email, which you can print out or forward, and it's done. I feel like I'm hearing some audio.
There was just a PA announcement of some sort here. I didn't quite catch it, but yeah, we get announcements, whether it's announcements for certain areas around the VAB to clear for operations or weather advisories. Those are all read out over loudspeakers here near the press site.
Very good. I went a little bit longer there about the store things and what have you, but I mean, sometimes people go, oh, you mentioned the store and what have you. Guess what? Without the support, we wouldn't be doing these streams. So those people who are like, oh, why are you talking about the store? Well, guess what? That's how we pay for things. Because these are not free to do. These cost a lot of money to do. Where, again, as I mentioned, we're not just talking over a SpaceX stream where you just put a microphone in front of someone else's webcast. That's easy and that's cheap. No, we literally go out there with our own equipment, and we have all our equipment at this press site, which is crazy. I've seen photographs of it. It's a lot of equipment, and that's why we pay for it. So that's why we mention it. There we go. People who just don't understand how websites work or how streams work, it is quite funny, but you do get them. And that's why we like to explain it. T-minus 6 minutes to launch. Getting excited. Alex, I'm coming back to you again for milestones. What we're expecting next?
Yeah, so engine chill should be underway. It's very similar to the way that they do the Stromback event, the T-minus 20 event, right? Where it's like they're going to have, in 6 minutes, they're going to ignite the engines. And the engines have the liquid oxygen turbo pump, right? You have that pump that's going to be filled up and pumping a lot of liquid oxygen through. And you kind of have to prepare that. First of all, you need to fill it up, because starting a pump with a pump empty, that's not great. It's usually when you fill it up, that's usually called engine priming, right? You're priming the pump. But also you condition the material that the pump is made out of, right? The metals and whatnot get chilled down and conditioned for that liquid oxygen to then go through at really incredible high flows and not have to do any sort of trickeries with the metals getting cracked and things like that. You don't really want that at engine ignition. So that's essentially what they're doing now, flowing a little bit of the liquid oxygen through, filling up the pump, and being able to thermally condition those engines ahead of operations. At the same time, they have wrapped up already kerosene load on the first stage, and they're getting ready now to begin the strongback retract, hopefully in about a minute from now. So we'll see that very shortly.
Very good. I am seeing Gav in the back room saying there's a boost arriving into port. Wonder, Jay, if we can quickly sneak over to Space Coast Live and have a quick look.
Yeah, that should be the one from the previous Starlink.
Yeah, that just shows SpaceX's cadence, by the way. There's boosters going up and down and into the port and out of port with the drone ships going out of port, I should say, at least. Well, there we go. Hello. That booster is trying to hide from the screen. Look at that. The booster is saying, I'm not going to be on live stream. What's going on here? I can just see the barge moving there. Here we go. There's a better view. There is a booster arriving back into Port Canaveral, which is it's now a regular thing. But is that Jacqueline on the right-hand side?
I believe so.
Oh, there we go. Where's Jacqueline? There's Jacqueline. Ryan Caton would love to shout on stream. But
Bob is right behind Jacqueline right now, which is really hilarious. Because right all over that place is where they have Jacqueline. Next to it is Bob by SpaceX, and then you've got also Harvey Stone, the vessel, the support vessel for Jacqueline. But yeah, here it is. That drone ship just read the instructions.
Again,
excuse me, short form gravitas, the other way around.
I keep mentioning to people that the cadence is crazy right now. This is literally a Falcon 9 booster that's launched, returning back to port ahead of its next launch, while another Falcon 9 booster is on 39, about to launch in 3 minutes' time. It is crazy. It's also very exciting, by the way. When I say crazy, I mean in a positive way, because this is what we've always wanted, this kind of cadence of rockets that we never really had until this recent years. And it's roll credit to SpaceX, but the other ones are joining in. You're going to see Blue Origin increase their cadence. Speaking of Jacqueline, we're going to see Blue Origin increase their cadence. We're going to see all these new rockets launching. We've seen Rocket Lab launching really impressive rate recently. I know they had that T-0 abort, but they're breaking up their cadence as well. And we're going to see all the countries involved as well, with all the, hopefully countries around the world launching at the state like China does, for example. China's always been known for launching lots of times. Anyway, enough of my rambling. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. I'm going to start going quiet. I was going to try and beat that call. There we go. Yes. Alex, what does that mean?
Well, that means first stage is now fully loaded with propellants ahead of liftoff. They are still loading a little bit of liquid oxygen left on that second stage. So we should hear that call out of second stage liquid oxygen load complete in roughly 30 seconds from now. And then, going closer to liftoff time, we'll have a T-1 minute. The startup, Falcon 9, will take over control of the countdown from the ground computers, right? So there'll be that handoff of command, and then at T-45 seconds, hopefully we'll hear as well there's the liquid oxygen load already loaded, and then we'll have at T-45 seconds
Stage
the launch
2,
director
load complete.
will call out the go for launch. Excuse me, because I'm here like twice. I don't know why, but yeah. So hopefully in just 94 seconds, we should see that liftoff. Really flight proven fairings there. You can see that one. Is that? Oh, that's actually. Haha, that's the fleet leader. That's 185. This should be the 36th launch of that fairing half. Wow.
That's loud. There we go. So yeah, T-1 minute to go. I'll be quiet now because I'm going to do some bandy camming for this launch for X. Alex, it's all on you for a bit.
All right.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Let's stand by for the call out from launch director, whether they are go or not for launch.
LD, go for launch.
There we go for launch. Should be getting ready now for the shaky movements. Is just because our teams out there in the field D is preparing to start the tracking in under 20 seconds from now.
T minus 30 seconds.
15 seconds to go. We should see first the engine ignition and then the liftoff. The Stromback will retract and leave way for the rocket to take off, so stay tuned. There's engine ignition and liftoff of Starlink 699. And now we'll wait for the rumble. That was quite the crackle out there. Wow. All right. Well, Falcon 9 is now ascending 95 seconds into flight. Seems like everything continues to be good with the vehicle. And now we'll stand by in less than a minute from now. We'll see those 9 Merlin engines on the first stage shutting down. That'll be main engine cutoff or MECO. And then we'll have stage separation and MVAC ignition on the second stage. We can see there that plume expanding. Chris, I don't know about you, but when it was ascending, you know, through the max Q portion, those clouds in the way moving from right to left, it sort of seemed as if the rocket was just hanging there. It was so cool.
Well, I mean, I was going to point that out, but you beat me to it, and I saw you in the background mentioning it. When it goes through the clouds and you see it basically being tracking across the clouds while the clouds are moving the other direction, it looks like it's almost hovering, and it's quite deceptive, but it all is nominal. It's all going, oh, there we go, separation. They're staging. And second stage ignition. Not a stubby nozzle. Sad noises. And the grid fins are now coming up. We're preparing for the Falcon 9 to return. Going to be amazing. Just 2.5 minutes after launch, and that is the view from the booster. It pretty much is in space. There's confirmation of staging of the actual fairing separation. And there's the Starlinks, the payload.
Yeah, and one of those fairing halves is flying for a 36th time on this mission. That is a record. That is serial number 185. It's quite amazing. Like, I saw it because I was seeing the view on their pad cameras from SpaceX, and I could see, because that fairing half, they have now the numbers on them. It's got 185, but also above that number, they have a crown, because this is the fleet leader of the fairing halves. And, you know, we talk about the boosters so many times, because of course we can see their amazing landings and whatnot, but those fairings really are something that's super underrated, because, you know, without those, there are 2 of them every single flight, and every single time they fish them out of the ocean, they're able to reuse them, And it's just incredible because they're saving so much money, so much time, not having to make one of these every single time. They're huge fairings, and these are composite structures, right? Which takes a lot of time to cure. It takes a lot of time to manufacture. So props to SpaceX, another record of maximum number of flights for a fairing have. It's bonkers.
I do have people who constantly ask me, why are they spending so much money to send out ships to fish out these fairings and bring them back? They're just fairings, Chris. They cost millions, don't they, Alex? They literally cost millions.
Yeah.
So they are saving a lot of money with these reusability.
And not just, I mean, what I said about how long it takes to build them is it's also another benefit of this, because sometimes they've reused these fairings sometimes within a week, right, of having launched the previous mission. It's like they just fish them out of the ocean, give it a rinse probably, right, and then just put it back on a payload stack and just roll it out and launch it again. Like sometimes it's just that easy, where maybe it takes several weeks to make even just one of these. And with more than 160 launches every single year, that's a lot of fairing halves, to be honest, right? So yeah, it will take a lot of money just for the tooling and the space to be able to store all of those manufacturing, different curing ovens and things like that for the composite structures. Yeah, it's really incredible that they are able to do all of that and save, again, not just money, but also time, which is very important when you're launching pretty much once every 2 days.
Yeah, boosters returning. Look at the altitude on the left-hand side, 82 kilometers up. It's coming back down now. And the speed, you'll see the speed, you'll get aerodynamic drag, first of all. You also get the re-entry burn, which is where, in fact, Alex, I'll let you talk about the re-entry burn.
FTS is saved.
FTS is saved. Thank you very much, SpaceX. But the re-entry burn is why, Alex? Why did they fire the engines up for the re-entry burn, Alex?
It's mainly to protect the booster during re-entry, but also to slow it down. It comes in rather fast for what it can handle. It probably might be able to survive, but maybe the engines will not be happy about it. So when you light up the engines, it sort of creates this sort of shield in front of the booster, right? Because it pushes out the atmosphere, and sort of it protects the booster against that those re-entry forces, and especially the engines, because those are the ones that get the blunt of the re-entry forces. But there you can see, and it's usually one engine, then 3 engines, back down to 1, which is what we see there, and now shut down. Right after re-entry, we can see there those RCS thrusters and the grid fins fighting as it sort of lights itself over to the drone ship. And then once it's closer, it'll light up the center engine for landing burn. But yeah, it's very important. We don't see that on Super Heavy because fortunately and thankfully, it stages lower enough and slow enough that it can sort of avoid that. But if it were going faster and higher, it will definitely need an entry burn because it already gets quite spicy during those re-entries with Super Heavy. Imagine if it were at the velocities and altitudes that the Falcon 9 boosters go. It will be bonkers.
Transonic, we're getting close to the single engine burn where it'll be on the landing burn. Usually just below 1,000 kilometers an hour. You're going to see it dive through the clouds. It knows where the drone ship is. It doesn't need to see it. It knows where it is. I will never get bored of this part, by the way.
And it's going to go through the clouds. I always love this. When it goes through the clouds, since we are not out there at the drone ship, we can be okay with the clouds on this side of the flight, because it's always cool to see it from the booster point of view. Look at that. Look at that. And whee! I love this. I love this. Here comes the drone ship. Water deluge on, and just read the instructions. And
Stage 1
touchdown. A lot of water there, but that's to be expected from the water deluge. And it clears. Nice. It's staying there. Cool. That's what we want.
It's really, I mean, it's crazy. That's probably a very lazy way. There's a shutdown, by the way, of the second stage. But it's a lazy way of describing it, that it's crazy. It is crazy if you think about it, because when they first portrayed this as a thing, I was Elon at the press club many, many years ago saying we're going to start bringing the boosters and the second stage, but the second stage never happened. Back down. Nominal orbit insertion, that's good news.
Yeah.
But it was something where someone called Lars Blackmore at SpaceX, English, by the way, taken from F1, Formula One. He designed all this, the mathematics behind it, the software behind it, and the basically the way they could do it, and it's worked out. And he's now involved with Starship. So when you start thinking, oh, this catching the boosters on the chopsticks, that's crazy. Well, that's worked. They're going to start catching ships on the chopsticks soon as well. Someone called Lars Blackmore would be involved in that, so I've got very high confidence that that's going to be something that's achieved because they've proven it with Falcon 9. So well done to the amazing team at SpaceX. When people praise SpaceX, it's the team, and the team they've got there is incredible.
Yep. And that will be, so this one's already the 164th launch of Falcon 9 this year. Isn't that crazy?
It is, but it's what they promised, and we're all like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, that sounds very, very optimistic." And guess what? They've gone and achieved it. So again, you can then take that template of optimism and apply it to Starship. So when people tell you, "And Chris, really, will Starship really be launching that many times, like every day and things like that?" Well, not for a few years at least, but it's something where SpaceX, if you'd told yourself 5 years ago SpaceX would be launching all these hundreds of launches a year, you'd be like, oh, I don't know about that. And they've proven it. So this is, again, it sounds like fandom almost, but objectively, the data's there. They're doing it. So you can apply that, what they're actually doing to the future. What the big vehicle Starship, big vehicle. It's the world's largest rocket. It's not just a big vehicle, it's the world's largest rocket. There we go.
Yeah. Still 6 more launches to go for their goal, but I mean, there's still 13 days, 14 or something like that, right? And they have another one later today. It got delayed by a few more minutes, but still on track for later today, it seems like. So hopefully they can inch a little bit closer to their goal of 170 launches. Because once they do that Vandenberg launch, there'll be 5 remaining. That's a lot easier when you think about it. When you crunch the numbers, it's like, yep, they might be able to do it.
I've got to ask you, I don't know if I'm asking you too soon, but what was that like in person with your Mark 1 eyeballs and Mark 1 ears? Is that a thing?
So, eyeballs, it was gorgeous. The clouds really thinned out just enough that we were still able to track it. And one of those benefits of the clouds is that they give some context that when the rocket flies by it, you can sort of see how it contrasts with the clouds and it sort of messes with your speed perception a little bit. It's kind of cool to see that. As far as the sound, I had my headphones on listening into the stream, so it was combining the rumble that I was hearing from the rocket with the stream rumble and all that. But it's always a great launch. This was a very, very good launch experience.
Oh, what's this? Oh, we got a replays. There we go. Replay time. This is always fun.
Base on top.
Again, I was mentioning earlier people going about, about talking about supporting the stream. What have you? Oliver Redmond's done one with the super chat. Thank you very much for it. Everybody, don't forget to hit like. That's a way of free supporting us. We don't expect people to spend their hard-earned disposable income on us because a lot of people can't do that. And they could be our biggest fans. Easy ways of doing it for free is liking streams and things like that. People go, why? What's the point of liking a stream?
Yeah.
It's because there's a lot of AI slop out around these days. I think you're all well aware of it. You're all well aware of it. We are original content with our original cameras. Of course, we use like SpaceX streams for the things we don't have cameras in orbit, but we do have a lot of original content, and you can support not just us, any channel with original content. Hitting like takes you half a second to do. It helps the algorithm. It helps things putting on search rankings. My fear is some young kid who may be into rockets goes searching a term like Starship, and the first results they get is slop, because those slop channels have auto likes and things like that. There's ways around it, unfortunately, and they get higher in the rankings. So that kid has been exposed to slop rather than good original content. So liking original content like our streams and other channels as well do original streams means they get to probably be higher in the rankings when that kid goes searching for a rocket term. And that's why it's important. There's no money in it. We don't get money for the likes, but it is important for our presence on YouTube and other social medias as well. So that's why we say, please like the stream. It takes you half a second. It's free. That's why it's supporting us. Audio. Jay warned me in the back room. Next one will have audio. Jay was not lying. There was definitely audio in that one. That was a very loud rocket rumble, which is a wonderful sound to hear any time of the day. But again, a successful launch for the Falcon 9 out of 39A, which was very cool to see. That also amazing tracking D, by the way. Was that your tracking D?
It was.
Bravo. How hard is it? I mean, I know these rockets move very fast. It must be a challenge. It's not something you could just turn up with your iPhone and hope for the best. It's something with a proper camera where you are literally on a tripod tracking this rocket going at a very fast speed.
So it's not so much the speed that is the challenge. It's just that you have to be at such an extreme focal length, and you get used to tracking at that focal length. And so you're I don't know. The speed isn't what makes it challenging. It's reacquiring it at a long focal length if you've lost it behind a cloud or something, or especially re-entry is where the challenge of speed comes in, because the the angular speed, the speed at which you actually have to tilt the camera, is so much more on a re-entry, whether that be Starship re-entry or Falcon 9 re-entry. That is, I'd say, the more challenging part of tracking.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue. I'm useless with cameras. I'm well known for it. I am so useless with cameras. Jay, I will take a picture of the round ball game. I'll go into, and you'll probably go, Chris, that's the worst photograph I've ever seen in my life. And I go, well, it's an iPhone. It's meant to take great photographs, even if the user's rubbish. No, cameras do not like me. I cannot take a photograph to save my life. So it's magical to me when this happens. Again, thanks for all your support on this stream. It is important because, like we say, we've got D out there. It's not something we do for free or can do for free. It is something where we spend a lot of money to do it because it's a great privilege to do it at the same time as well, but the support makes it viable. That's what I probably want to say. But thanks to everybody who's been supporting. Let me thank Alex who's been on with you as well, because Alex has saved me from talking for over an hour, which I normally can't do because my brain melts. So thanks for Alex for being on. Thank you, Alex.
It's been a pleasure as usual, and hopefully we'll have many more soon.
Indeed. Thanks again to D for being out there on what has been a crazy schedule, by the way. This is not a 9 to 5 job, is it, D?
No, it's more like 8 to noon, followed by 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., followed by... It's fun. There's nothing I'd rather be doing. I absolutely love being able to be out here and share these launches with all of you.
Also, thank you to Gage for being in the background, helping with the cameras. And also, big thanks to Jay Keegan for producing the stream, because I always thank the producer. I used to forget often, that's why I make a joke out of it. But thank you for Jay for making the stream work to the internet so you could all watch. But again, thank you to all of you for watching. It's been another successful Falcon 9 launch. And there's more launches to come before Christmas and the New Year as well. So keep tuned to our channel. And until next time, thanks for joining us and goodbye.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Say again, SPD off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Signal.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?